Hey guys, welcome to another week. Before I begin, I want to thank you all for your support on this channel and how it's growing. Before I get into what we are looking at this week, which is fashion business, I would also like to ask you to please like, share and subscribe. I know some of you watch these videos on this channel and you haven't subscribed. I would really appreciate it. Also, liking the videos really helps with the algorithm. It helps more people see it, and I really would like to reach more people with this content. I think it's informative and important, and it's the reason I do this is because I would have loved a channel like this when I was starting out, and I know it's very, very difficult to come by information in the fashion industry, and especially what I'm covering right now. So please do that for me as we get on to this week's topic, which is the fashion business side. And before I continue, please check the description. There's an article that I was featured in. I talk a bit about my fashion journey. It's on the Potentash blog, and maybe you'll learn something a bit more about me and basically what drives me. So let's begin. So as we start, this week's video is about the business side of fashion. I'm just going to talk about the different careers in the business side. I know even in the business side of fashion, the more glamorous side is more popular. But did you know that there are people who are hired to make sure a retail shop display looks good? That's a visual merchandiser. Or do you know that there are people who have to give the story of the brand in public? That's someone who is in public relations. Or even when you're choosing your model. I know I have gotten requests from all sorts of people to model for my brand, but even the model you work with really speaks to who your customer is. There is a lot to think about on the business side of fashion. It's not just about making clothes and selling them. It's also about thinking about who your customer is, where to find them and all that. Even putting outfits together. I will be honest, there are people who think because I'm a designer and I make clothes that I know what goes well with what. That is actually a stylist's job, and not all designers are stylists. I am very fine with dressing myself. I know what goes with what when I'm dressing myself, but sometimes I find it very difficult to advise my clients, because I really believe people should have their own personal style, and sometimes I could choose something that may be more of my style than your style. So a stylist, that is their job. So let's get into the different careers within the fashion industry, and I hope you learn something, and maybe this will interest you more, because not everybody who knows how to dress themselves well should be making clothes and selling clothes. I think sometimes that's a very big misconception. I will be honest, I realized a long time ago that most of the time fashion designers are probably not always the smartest dressed people. Sometimes we're the most awkwardly dressed because of how we think. So just have that in mind, and I'm not saying it's all of them. Some of them do shine. Yeah. So let's begin. Just like I did last week, the fashion business-based jobs are divided into two categories: sales related careers and marketing related careers. Some of them do overlap. I just thought it's easier to follow in this way, so we're going to start with the sales related careers. Visual merchandisers are the people who are responsible for your display. You might not really think about it when you're going to shop, but there is a feeling you get when you're in an atmosphere because of how it has been displayed. So that's what a visual merchandiser does. So they do window displays, signs, interior displays, floor planning, and even promotions and all that. So if you've gone to established fashion brands, at least the ones in Kenya, Vivo, LC Waikiki, Mr. Price, you realize there's even a way the things have been arranged so that it also gives you that feeling of how to shop for things, and why people put the smaller items closer to the cashier and not farther away from the cashier. All those things are actually planned. The colors that you interact with, how the mannequins are displayed, how you feel when you get into the dressing room, all that is planned by a visual merchandiser. And yes, so that is the job of a visual merchandiser. A fashion forecaster is the person who predicts the colors, the patterns, the fabrics, the textures, the materials, the prints, the graphics, beauty, grooming, accessories, footwear, everything that is going to inspire what people are going to wear in the coming fashion seasons. Of course, this is very much more popular in the West than I can say here in Africa, where we just tend to either dress how we feel or just follow the trends. It's usually one or the other. Some of the biggest fashion forecast companies are like WGSN and Pantone, and they are the ones who really dictate a lot of the global fashion industry and the colors. Even the big fashion designers do check at least what is recommended so they can produce their outfits or their accessories according to what the fashion forecaster says. It's a very important job because it also just checks the trends of what people are already wearing and trying to predict what they'll be interested in wearing next. So that's generally what a fashion forecaster does. A fashion consultant does everything from styling a look for a private client to creating advertising campaigns for fashion brands. They always have an eye for the hottest trends and what interests their clients. So they even craft collections, they style shoots, they manage the logistics of production releases and develop marketing. So it's a very wide range job. There are people who actually specialize more in some areas than others, but a fashion consultant can basically do a whole range of jobs. So that's why they're in the list for the business side of fashion. So a fashion merchandiser is responsible for buying merchandise for sale in retail stores. So they are the ones who purchase the inventory from suppliers. They conduct research to figure out what products are going to sell the best in that store. They track shipments, they communicate with manufacturers, monitor customer feedback and sales. So basically they are the in between what a customer will buy and what a factory should produce, and probably work very well with the production manager so that they can know how many more pieces of this in this area do people need. So yeah, so that's the importance of a fashion merchandiser. So closely related to fashion merchandiser is a sales associate. Please note that sometimes some of these titles end up even on one person, but it's also good to give job descriptions for specifically what people do in, I guess, the role of the fashion organization. So a sales associate will help the customer find the right product for them, complete transactions and restock merchandise and maintain a neat appearance of the retail store. So basically they're all about customer experience and also helping the customer basically figure out, do you think the blue or the black will do? But they work in the store, so they monitor what is moving. They will be able to tell the fashion merchandiser that the blue t-shirts move more than the black t-shirts, so when you're ordering, please order more for the blue t-shirts, things like that. So they keep track of all that. They also alert customers in the shop for sales promotions, and yeah, so basically they help a lot with the customer. They help even with the style and the size and tell you what will blend more with what. So basically that's a sales associate. Maybe here we call them sales girls or whatever, but sales associate. So a stylist does not necessarily have to work in a store. They could actually have a consultancy. So their job is to create outfits and advise on various ways to wear an article of clothing. So a lot of stylists that I know work for newspapers and magazines, and they come up with concepts for people. There are people who have personal stylists, so they hire someone to just take care of what they will wear, especially celebrities do that a lot. So basically they suggest what is new. They can help you mix and match things that will be that will look good on you. But a stylist basically help you identify your own personal brand, your own personal style. They will have contact with so many different types of fashion brands, so they'll be able to purchase different things that they think would look nice on you. So their job is very tailored to an individual customer more than a wide range of customers. Of course, there are some who still do that, but benefit of a stylist is definitely to have one who's going to help you with the one-on-one suggestions of what will look good for you. They're also the ones who would help you know which silhouette suits you best, or which colors look better on you, or which print really makes you pop. Yeah, so that's the job of a stylist. So a retail buyer will work in a big department store, and they will choose the assortment of merchandise that will be in the store. So for example, maybe you sell dresses, and maybe your dresses are all floral. So a retail buyer would suggest accessories that would be sold in that store that would go with the dresses, or hats or bags or shoes and all that. So they create the assortment of what they think would sell in the shop, because they really have to monitor what would move. So they are actually in charge of the stock, and to also make sure that the store remains competitive. So even if someone has a store that is very close in terms of not silhouettes, but what their aesthetic is similar, yours stands out from that one. So example, if there's a whole street of bridal shops, what would make a customer walk into this shop and not this other shop? Maybe you have more unique handmade accessories for a bride. Maybe your wedding dresses are all the same, but yours have unique accessories that a bride would consider coming to your shop before they go to see the other ones. So they also analyze buying patterns, forecast trends, and the target market. Also, they would be able to know even the best place to have a store and the best market to target for whatever it is you're selling. So an account manager is employed by a company that sells products to other entities. So a good example I think I could give here in Kenya is like school uniforms. You might not know this, but the shops that sell school uniforms are not the ones who manufacture the school uniforms. So you will find that the different manufacturers of school uniform will look for an account manager, maybe an account manager who manages a certain school uniform shop, like uniform distributors, and tell them to stock their uniforms in their shop. And of course, the account manager is one who will manage that specific account to make sure that having the uniforms in that shop makes sense. And the customers you're targeting are in that area, and they will stock the uniforms there. So that's just a generally good example of what an account manager does. Of course, it's not restricted to uniforms, but that's the best example I could think of giving you. So they are the ones who basically work on the wholesale side of fashion, and you will deal with the account manager because they will ask specific questions, I guess, about even the customer, who will buy and all that. So they are the in-between manufacturers and stores. And most of the time they are hired by branded companies. So especially stores that sell multiple fashion brands, they would hire an account manager for that. So now we get into the marketing related careers. So this video is already looking a bit longer than the others. I will try and rush through them so that they don't take too long. And so we begin. Public relations specialists work for apparel brands to create and maintain a positive brand and public image. They work with marketing specialists to plan events that raise consumer awareness and interest in the brand and the product. So a public relations specialist is also responsible for developing press release, handling media inquiries. Basically, that's the gist of what they do. So some of the things they do also for fashion industry is handle social media, work with ad agencies, work on runway shows, and also work on film. So that's the gist of what a PR or public relations specialist would do. A fashion journalist primarily is supposed to display current trends publicly through media. They will conduct research, they will do interviews, and basically just inform the public about the fashion industry. from the significant issues that are affecting the industry to style and major events. So they will do it in magazines, blogs, newspapers, and other editorials. So that's what a fashion journalist does. So the most popular, probably, and the most well-known is a fashion model. So a model promotes, advertises, and showcases clothing, footwear, and other products. Some models only model just their hands, some only their feet, some you'll only see their hair, some only their face. So it comes in all sorts of ways. So you're not restricted to runway or, just being a supermodel or anything like that. There are commercial models, there are fashion models, there are trade show models, there are models who pose for even artists like sculptors, painters. So modeling comes in all sorts of ways, but for fashion, the main job is to promote and advertise, which is the reason why you will find that designers will pick very, very specific models to work with their brand, because it is supposed to showcase part of their brand story, the types of models they work with. So not every model will work with every brand. A hairstylist is basically someone who will color, clean, wash, style hair, mostly during photo shoots, ad campaigns, or even runway shows. You will find a lot of hairstylists hired for that. That's the main time you will actually see them within the fashion industry, but generally we all need hairstylists in our lives just for our day-to-day look. So they are not necessarily restricted to marketing jobs in the fashion industry, but they're also very influential with your head-to-toe look for your everyday wear. So a hairstylist is important in all our lives. So this one might be new to you, and especially because I did not add costume designer in my list for design jobs. But a set designer is someone who basically manages stage and acting. Most of them, that's where they work. They work in the theater. But you also need set designers when you're doing photo shoots. And so you will find that they're the ones who will manage the type of lighting that will be there. They will research on the theme that will work with what is being done, whether it's contemporary or futuristic. They look into the small details of the production. They are the ones who decide which model is going to pose for the specific theme and which one won't. And basically they manage all that. They'll manage the photographer and the makeup artist and the hairstylist and all that. So basically they manage all the elements of what will make the production of a photo shoot or production of a stage event or whatever it is successful. Another very popular job is a makeup artist, and they specialize in applying makeup. It could be to actors, models, people, everyday wear, or over the top creative makeup. So makeup artists are employed mostly during fashion events or photo shoots as well, specifically, but generally you do need a makeup artist in your everyday life, whether it's just for normal makeup for every day or you're going for a special event. It's always important to have a makeup artist that you consult, whether they are teaching you how to apply makeup for yourself or you hire them to do the makeup for you. That's generally the job of a makeup artist. So fashion photographer is the last one I'm mentioning. I am so sure I've probably forgotten to mention some other jobs, but basically a fashion photographer will take photos of the clothes that are needed. It could be very basic ones, maybe that you need for your website, front, back, side, just for people to be able to purchase, or very creative ones where it really markets your brand. And even with accessories and makeup, you could be releasing a makeup line or all sorts of things. So they work very close together as well with the makeup artist, the hairstylist, and the set designer. So it's usually like a whole team because they all need to agree and they are all going to benefit from doing the job, because it's all going to amplify their work. So a fashion photographer works in that. There are some photographers that are specifically fashion, others mix up fashion photography with other types of photographies, and there are others who even come up with their own concepts for fashion photography that have nothing to do with a designer or being hired by a fashion house, but they're just doing it as their own personal project. Yeah, so that is the end of the businesses that I wanted to feature. I hope you have learned something. I know it's a lot. So yeah, so this is it for now. I'm sure there are some I've left out. Feel free to write some in the bottom the comment section, yes, for any jobs I may have left out. Thank you for watching this series. This was the last of the careers. I know I have not exhausted all of them. I just figured that if I try, it will never end. There are very, very, very many other jobs. I just thought this would be sufficient, and maybe it'll get you thinking about other careers in fashion, and maybe you could also research for yourself and check out other jobs. So there are 3 episodes, so please watch all of them. They are on a playlist, and next week I have a surprise. I think I will wait until next week so that you can just see it. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but a small hint, it's related to basically what we've been covering this week, and I guess you just have to wait and see. Please like, share and subscribe. I appreciate all your support. See you next week. Bye.